Cardboard Studios presents.
Heavy Cardboard, Episode 13, BGG CON 2014 Recap. Coming to you from the headquarters of Damn, I Wish I Was Back at BGG CON, Denver,
or Damn, I Wish I Went to BGG CON,
Denver, Colorado. Welcome to Heavy Cardboard, where we talk medium and heavy strategy board games, war games, 18xx, and other related topics in the board gaming hobby. We're your host. He's Tony.
He's Edward.
So, Tony, tell them how to get a hold of us.
Listeners, you can reach us on Twitter at Heavy Cardboard. Facebook page is Heavy Cardboard. Our email is heavycardboard@gmail.com. And our website is heavycardboard.com.
So today was my first day back at work after almost 2 full weeks off, and first for BGG CON and the second was for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And, after, around Thanksgiving, just chilling around the house and whatnot. At least it was a mellow day at work. Like, I hate that first day back at work. Because you have no idea what the hell's going on for the last 2 weeks. Are we all fired? Did the place catch on fire? Are we swamped at work? Do we have nothing going on? No clue. And come to find out, it was just mellow. And I was like, that's a good way to ease back into it, especially since I'm working on 4 hours sleep. So with that said, how about you? What you been up to?
Yeah, it was my first day back at work too. Only after 4 days off, however.
I'm sorry for you.
Maybe next year.
I hope so. Hope maybe you can take a couple weeks off. Go to BGG CON.
That would be spectacularly cool.
Yes.
I work in software. Our software was quiet over the weekend. It normally is. And
well, I mean, you write it, right?
So, well, yeah.
I mean, if not, then shocking, it's on you, right?
But, yeah, it's on the team, but there were no alerts over the weekend. There were no server issues. There were no check-ins by the staff. So everybody actually took the 4 days off.
Oh, rock on.
Yeah.
It's good to, hang out with the family, friends, revitalize, kind of get that,
I think everybody felt that, and I know I did too. We're a startup, so we work long hours and weird hours, and so it's nice to be able to have a block of time. No work.
Rock on. Oh, and the only sports thing that I'm going to mention is the day after this comes out, my Oregon Ducks Pac-12 championship game. They win that. They're in the inaugural playoff. So go Ducks.
All right. I don't like college football, but go Ducks.
All right, thanks. So I'm sure the listeners are hopefully anxiously awaiting to find out who is our first quarterly contest winner, thanks to Game Surplus.
Game Surplus, yes. Thank you. We secured a copy of Rococo from Game Surplus to give away this quarter.
And while I was at BGG CON, the BGG store is there, and while I was there, I was like, we have this giveaway. Why don't I go ahead and get the Fancy Dresses promo to throw in as well?
So we're going to give away Rococo and the Fancy Dress promo.
Yes.
That's spectacular.
Yeah, I think it's exciting.
A
heavy game, but
a terrific game.
A medium,
terrific,
fantastic game that we both
played with the Fancy Dress promo, and it's really, really cool. Some neat new tiles, and the 5-point dresses are awesome.
I've been irritated that I haven't had it for my copy, because we've played yours in the past, and you've had it from the word go.
Oh.
And so I was excited to get
so you got one for
myself.
You too.
Right, as well as one for our contest winner, who is
Gary F.
All right, Gary F. Congratulations. Woo, yeah, Gary, woo. So we chose it at random. It just so happened that Gary F. wrote us about...
It was a magnum opus about his favorite 3 mechanics.
It was great.
It was awesome.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We didn't choose it because of that.
Right.
So, Gary F., get in contact with us.
That being said...
Oh, what?
It might be in our best interest to, in the future, say that you've got to have some content in your contest entries.
No, I will say that as we got them, because we had almost 50, I think, entries this time. Yeah. And it was cool to go through and look at the different diverse choices that everybody had, for their top mechanics.
Yeah.
I will say that worker placement probably takes it far and away.
Yeah.
So that, as a guy whose worker placement is my favorite mechanic as well,
And my second favorite.
I thought that was cool. But that kind of suits the type of games that we play. I figure it would either be that or some sort of economical thing. So again, Gary F., congratulations, and thanks to everybody who wrote in. It was really awesome to read all the entries, and if Gary is okay with it, and if there's interest, we will go ahead and post it to the guild on BGG.
Good idea.
The winning entry for Rococo.
We'll send Gary an email asking him for his shipping address and his permission to post that in the guild.
Yep.
Sweet.
So, again, thank you again to Game Surplus, our sponsor, not only of the show, but of our quarterly giveaway. Now, something for the listeners to make note of. Every quarter, we're going to have a giveaway. We just so happen we wanted to get this one out before Christmas. So our next one, look for it probably late February timeframe.
Right on. Let's rock into some of the games we've acquired. Now, here's what I'm going to suggest, because... You've got an extensive list given the
I'll read it quickly.
Recent convention. How about this? You go halvesies, you go the other halvesies.
Okay, deal.
All right.
Here we go. Snowdonia, the Necropolis, but I got it with the resin coffins.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. I got the Necropolis one.
We could have got Sweater Mike to make coffins.
Bummer. Didn't think about it. Oh, well. New Amsterdam, Swedish Parliament, the Mosquito edition. Oh, okay, what?
New Amsterdam. You got a copy.
I did. I got it in the virtual flea market from BGG CON.
Awesome game.
Yet another reason for you to go.
Dude, with 5, that is a tight, brutal game.
Really fun.
Yeah.
Swedish Parliament, the Mosquito edition of D-Mocker. So I now have the 2nd and 3rd edition. And I was thinking about selling the 3rd edition, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to keep them both.
You can sell it to me.
The Golden Ages, Massilia, Historia, Dragon Scroll, Promised Land, 1250 to 587 BC, which I'm really interested in checking out. Plus, it looks a lot like a Martin Wallace. It's not, but it has that feel to it.
Yeah,
and it
that's
has that
the
cloth
one.
map. Yeah, that looks cool.
That was really, really cool.
Tempest, another Martin Wallace. And last for this half, the Theta Games Saturn game, which is purely a collector's item. It's a dexterity game. It's really expensive. I got it for about half price, so I got it. So your turn, sir. That's half.
Do you know what lanyap is?
Lanyap?
Lanyap?
I do not.
It's a Cajun phrase.
Okay.
It means a little something extra.
Yeah.
Let's give the listeners a little bit of lanyap.
Oh, okay.
You mentioned Historia, and we got to play it.
Right.
Do you want to yell out a thought or two?
Okay, let's see. I really like the 2D kind of stock market.
Right, it looks like an 18XX stock market
Right.
technology track, though.
Right.
And you move your right is technology and up is military.
Right.
Yeah.
We played it once. We played it 4-player. Enjoyed it, but didn't love it. And I'm a little disappointed that I didn't. I had high expectations. That's one play. We're both, all of us want to play it again.
I think I got out of it what I was expecting from that stock market of technology and military, because as you move along it, things unlock on your cards and stuff, and I thought that was very cool.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
The one, I guess, thing that kind of is sticking in my craw a little, so to speak, was the fact that I was the only one that didn't go high military. I went almost pure technology.
Right.
And ended up in a utopian society. And I felt like I had no chance to win the game. But again, that's one play. Obviously, I wasn't doing things optimally.
Who won the game? Was it Matt or was it you?
No, I finished 3rd. Amanda beat me, and
I was
Matt,
4th.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Matt.
Yep.
And Amanda made it all the way to the corner.
Yeah, the top right corner.
She achieved the pinnacle of both military and technology. And she finished 2nd.
Right.
So,
But no, it was a fun game.
I mean, well, that's contrasting things. So that might be, definitely worthy of some more exploration.
Yeah, it by no means do I want to give the impression that it was a bad game. It's just I don't know if it's or if it's, it's a good game.
Don't know if it's a 2 or a 3.
Right, basically. Let's move on to what you've acquired recently.
Well, I acquired 2 things through the willingness, generosity of my partner Edward from BGG CON.
Oh, right,
You, I paid for, of course, but you transported back for me. That's what I'm saying. You took time and luggage space to bring me back Keyflower the Merchants expansion and Uruk 2, and I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. And just a little note, because I'm pretty outspoken about my feelings about Game Salute, just for the record, the Keyflower expansion, I did not get from Game Salute. I paid extra to get it from Fun Again. So you're welcome, Fun Again. And
thank you, Hutch Games.
Right, yeah.
And you also brought back a couple little promo things for me and everything, man. Really dug it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I acquired my copy of Imperial Settlers came.
Right, you were so excited
the
about
day
that.
I was playing Brian's copy, my copy showed up. I got Castles of Mad King Ludwig for the wife. She loves that.
Oh, we've really enjoyed it.
When I got home, it was still in shrink because that was late Saturday.
Right.
From here.
Like 2 days ago Saturday, right?
And then the next morning after Robin went and got coffee, she ripped it open and punched it all out and everything. So it was very cool. I got Land Unta, which the English version is Turn the Tide.
Oh, okay, right. I actually was going to mention that
we've all played that,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
And we've acquired a copy of Kanban.
Right. And we have another copy coming.
2 more.
Well, one for me and one for Paul Chad,
Paul Chad.
Thanks to ordering from Game Surplus.
Indeed.
So is that it? That all you've acquired? That's all?
That's all.
So moving on to the second half of my list. Lagoon, Land of Druids. Got that in a virtual flea market. Byzantium, another Martin Wallace game. Brussels 1893, which I am a really big fan of, that came out last year at Essen. Have you played that one?
I have not.
You need to.
That is what I understand.
Bonaparte at Marengo, Bios Megafauna. Amanda won a copy of La Isla at BGG CON, so we got that.
Feld Girl.
We got a couple of review copies, Patch History and Spirits of the Rice Paddy. I also got my copy of Keyflower the Merchants and the Trader promo. Got Hansa Teutonica, the Britannia map. As mentioned, got the Rococo Fancy Dresses promo, both for me and, as it works out, for Gary F. And last but not least, the Madeira Ambassadors promo, which I've been dying to get my hands on, finally got. So I'm anxious to finally play with that, because you've had it, but we haven't played Madeira since you've gotten the Ambassador, so I'm anxious to try that.
Did you get the Wine Experts expansion for Vinos?
Already had it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Good.
So yeah, that's all. Just 20-something games.
So is there anything left to be hunting or anticipating?
Yeah, of course there is. There's always something.
Hells yeah.
So we are both still anxiously awaiting, our copy of Arkwright.
Still?
And as well as our copy of Zango.
Oh, I got to play Zango.
That's right, at Game Day Saturday.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. More to come later.
All right. The same 4 Martin Wallace games that I've been hunting.
Get over it. Let me know when you buy them.
or have donated from listeners. That'd be great. And the last thing that I'm actively hunting, and to be honest with you, this is the number one thing I'm actively looking for, and that's Fields of Arle. It's the game from Essen that I haven't played nor have acquired that I'm chomping at the bit to get my hands.
I'm one of the hundreds, no doubt, that have a copy on pre-order. November 19th was supposed to be release date. Today's December 1st as we record this. Hide nor hair of release dates out there. I mean, it's just typical board game delay stuff. So.
Yeah, when we get into the BGG CON discussion, I'm definitely gonna hit on the regret I have in the pit of my stomach about this. I blame Amanda. So what have you been after?
I only have one thing on my hunting list right at this moment.
I'm raising the BS flag. That there's only one thing that you are actively looking... Bull.
Well, I'd love a copy of Key Market.
Wait, okay, sure.
But, yeah.
Not willing to spend the cheese.
Not willing to spend the cheese. I'm only looking for one thing at the moment.
Really, one thing.
One thing besides, Key Market. And that, in fact, I actually acquired it.
Key Market?
No.
Oh, the one
this
thing.
This one thing. I actually acquired it as I was setting up my computer for recording this session.
Wait, what?
The expansion for Bruges.
Oh, rock on.
Yeah. I saw... Oh, God, I can't remember who did it now, but I watched a video of the expansion on BGG just the other day, and I was like, wow, that takes care of a lot of Bruges weirdness.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's funny you mentioned that, because last night, Amanda and I laying in bed, getting ready to go to sleep. I'm on my iPad, and I was like, oh, hey, the Bruges expansion.
Yeah.
That's another thing I wish I would have gotten. And Amanda looks at me and says, we don't play that enough to warrant it. And I looked at her, like that matters?
Like that matters.
Like you have to play a game to be able to get the expansion?
When I saw that video, it's like it gives the canals more purpose.
Okay.
And there's some card tweaks, plus some new cards that have some really cool features on them. I'm a big Feld guy, right?
Sure.
And Bruges is
cool.
I
mean, we're a Feld group, really.
Bruges is cool, but Bruges ain't cool enough to get a good amount of plays. But I'm thinking this expansion just might turn that into something that can get to the table more often.
Cool. Hopefully Amanda will play it and give me the okay to go out and get it.
You won't play it?
Oh, yeah, obviously I will. I want it already. I don't need to be convinced.
Well, I'll bring over my copy of Rouge with the expansion next weekend.
Deal.
All right.
So, moving on into what you've been playing.
What we've been playing, yes. Me?
Sure.
Zhanguo. And we're awaiting our review copy from What's Your Game. We played a friend's copy, and we did a 4-player game. It was really good, really interesting. Definitely, in my opinion, future podcast material.
Cool. All right. Well, I mean, there's a reason we asked for the game, right?
Exactly. Been playing more Luna, a Feld classic. It's a very interesting game. Will not unseat Trajan. I'm hoping Aquasphere might. See?
And obviously that's because we played that together this weekend as well. And both
that was your first play.
Yeah, and Amanda's. And again, Feld girl, and I'm a Feld fan.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's, for as much love as it gets, I'm not putting it down with Notre Dame. Let's not get carried away there. It was fine, but it wasn't as good as I expected due to the hype.
You're ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I've been playing Imperial Settlers. That's a fun game. It's a good game, too. It's not heavy cardboard material. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Castles of Mad King Ludwig is a again, fun game. Not heavy cardboard material. But with the different sizes and shapes of the pieces, the spatial element.
Yeah, that's
really super groovy.
And I really like how the auctioneer, the master builder, the active player sets the prices for the available buildings.
It is cool.
I taught this I played it Saturday with Sweater Mike, and we taught it to our buddy Matt, and one play, and he's like, I'm getting this. The family is going to love this.
Yeah,
and I said, it's a simple, fun game. Yeah. It's above filler, but it's not, like you said, at the level of being a game to be featured on our show. But it's just a fun game that I've enjoyed every single play I've had of it so far.
And you and I have both been working on our next episode.
Yep.
And so we've been playing, we've got a couple of games of Kanban in. And, initial impression,
definitely positive.
Awesome. Very, very good.
I don't want to say anything more than positive.
Please listen in our next episode.
So for me, you've hit on just about all the ones I wanted to bring up. Kanban, obviously. Luna, Castles of Mad King, Ludwig. A couple others that you didn't. Panamax. I busted out another game of that on Saturday. And poor Sweater Mike.
Yeah.
This dude's a trooper. He loves heavy games. However, subjecting him to his first game of Panamax, immediately followed by his first game of Kanban. Talk about brain melty. Holy cow.
And those two games were in the latter half of the day. After he played other stuff.
Right. So, that was...
Maybe instead of a Purple Heart, we'll get him a Purple Brain Award.
Right. Maybe a Purple Elephant.
Ooh.
Last one I wanted to bring up was Manila. So I'd heard of this game, and
You played my copy.
Right,
Yeah.
we played it over at your house, and it's just a silly, stupid, no fun, horrible gambling game. I say this because I played like crap, and I was really unlucky, and Amanda was the uber pirate in that game.
I have never seen somebody hit the pirate as much as she had.
Well, I mean, as lucky as she is, she did get to marry me. So,
Well, I guess then she's entitled to some luck.
oh, ouch. Oh. But yeah, that was a fun game, even though I got destroyed. Not as bad as you.
What did I end up with? $8 or something?
Something
Stupid,
terrible.
man. I did. Awful. Right on. All right, let's carry on then, sir. Let's talk about some games in a little bit of detail. You first.
All right. Well, I thought I'd go a little bit off the beaten path with this one. Something a little bit unconventional, unlike what I've done in the past. And I wanted to talk about Vital Lacerda's upcoming game next year, The Gallerist.
Nice.
So, with that said, since it is an upcoming game and it's still in the prototype mode, I want to preface by saying that Amanda and I played it at BGG CON. Paul Incow, who's the developer, taught us the game. We didn't play a full game, kind of almost like a demo type thing, just to get a feel for it. Didn't see the finished artwork. There wasn't even a copy of the rules. He just kind of had little cheat sheets made up for us. But without further ado, let me tell folks a little bit about it. It plays 2 to 4 players. It's supposed to play in about 2 hours, give or take a little bit. So in the game, as with most, if not all of Vital's game, there's kind of a unique theme. In The Gallerist, you play as an art gallery owner, curator, and artist manager all in one. The goal of the game is to earn the most prestige, i.e. victory points, or victory points, i.e. prestige, whatever. And you do that a number of ways. You attract visitors to your gallery, you show valuable works of art in your gallery, and by fulfilling goals at the end of the game, kind of like hidden objective cards. There is also an economic engine and resource conversion game at work in The Gallerist as you acquire art and have to decide what you're going to do with those pieces of art. It also has aspects of worker placement and worker displacement, which I've found that I've become a really big fan of.
Yeah.
And when you displace another player from the action that they selected, so like if I were to go to a certain location and then you come in after and displace me, it gives me potentially a bonus action. So you have to debate whether or not it's important enough for you to go there to potentially give me that bonus action. Thought that was pretty cool.
All right, that's cool.
But that's kind of the gist of it. So what am I excited or looking forward to in the game? You can discover artists in the game.
Ooh, unknown.
Yeah, and you send them to art school and you get them sponsors. And you do that to increase their fame, and having been the person that discovered them, you kind of have an in with them, which is going to benefit you throughout the game. Next, you choose what to do with the artwork that you acquire. Like I mentioned, kind of in the synopsis part. Okay, do you display it and use it as in an exhibition in your gallery? Do you find a buyer and try and sell it for an ungodly amount of money? Or do you use it to fulfill your end-game market goals, your hidden objective goals? And each decision is going to, or what you do with that, obviously, is going to impact the direction you go in the game. So with that said, there appears to be a lot of paths to victory, whether you're going to focus on exhibiting the artwork or selling it to make money, to use that to acquire more prestige, or if you're going to try and just focus on discovering a lot of artists and kind of pump up their fame, putting them to school, and getting them lots of sponsors. So that seems pretty interesting to me. Also, as fans of competition of decision making, there seems to be a lot of tough decisions, not just big picture wise within the game, but every piece of art, you have to decide what you're going to try and do with this piece of art, because there's so many different directions you can go with it, and what to do with that one piece, or that decision is going to dictate what other pieces you're going to try and acquire, because there's sculptures in the game, there's paintings, there's photographs, and so there's different
Categories.
types, yeah, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, one other thing that I'm learning I'm a big fan of is there's very little downtime, it seems, in the game, because you take your actions and it's very quick moving. There's no real long, drawn-out actions, and then boom, it's the next player's turn. And it really, even though we demoed the 4-player version, 4-player game of this, everything was, and 3 of us were brand new. It moves super fast. It was just bing, 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 bing. So that was cool. I'm excited that it's such a fast-paced game. But, I mean, it's not real-time or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the turns are short. There's a lot of them, and they're short.
Did you play a full game?
We only played a few turns, and then Paul ran us through how the end game works and how it has step by step by step that you're going to figure out the end game scoring and all that. A lot like, it reminded me kind of Rococo in the way that goes step by step at the end of the game.
Did, in that abbreviated play, did you get a feel for how the weight is? Maybe relationship to Vinos, Kanban?
Yeah, well, that kind of rolls into the things that I'm unsure about the game. And it's definitely lighter than all of his previous games. Okay. Kanban, Vinos, CO2. I say lighter, but not light. It felt like a medium weight game. Maybe something on par with Rococo, that type weight game.
Okay.
So there are 2 other things that I'm unsure about, or nits to pick. The first is I was told that it's likely to be a Kickstarter because it's at Eagle Games. That's who's publishing it, is Eagle Games, and their MO is to go the Kickstarter route. Just like how I kind of lamented Stefan Feld in Aquasphere. Yes, I backed it, but really, Feld, really, Vital Lacerda, these are guys that don't necessarily need to be Kickstarter or should be.
It's like Henry Ford kickstarting a car.
Right, exactly. And it's no fault of Vital's. I'm not blaming him. It's the way the Eagle Games works. It's just, I'll back it, but really, damn it, whatever. Also, because it was a prototype, I'm curious to see the art direction they take on this. Are they going to go serious, kind of like a modern art stamps version, which I would love to see, really a clean look, or maybe the regular modern art version that I can't stand. And the only reason I think modern art, because obviously it's an art game.
Yeah. Well, they definitely have an opportunity to do it well or do it wrong.
I just hope they don't make it cartoony. That I don't want to see that personally. But again,
not for a game like this.
Right. It seems too heavy to be that direction, in my opinion. But we'll see when it comes out, and that's sometime in 2015. And that's the upcoming game, The Gallerist, by our fan of the show, Vital Lacerda.
And we're a fan of Vital.
Yeah, we absolutely are. So speaking of designers that we are fans of, I know the game you wanted to expound on a little is another fan of the show.
Yes. Ignacy Trzewiczek's Imperial Settlers. Again, a game that wouldn't be the main focus of a heavy cardboard episode, but it's new to me and it's pretty fun, and Ignacy's a cool guy. And
very cool.
I thought that this game would be worth just advising our listeners on just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it because I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet.
I view it as long filler.
Okay.
Because it's about an hour, maybe a little more, depending on if you're playing with 2, 3, or 4 players. It does have a solo option. In Imperial Settlers, everyone plays an empire, and these empires are discovering new lands full of resources and opportunities. They have the Romans, the barbarians, the Egyptians, and the Japanese. In just 5 rounds of play, and each round is of variable length because it's one of those games where when you're out of actions, you're done. But I might not be out of actions
yet.
You
might have bonus actions or
vice
extras.
versa.
Right.
During those 5 rounds, you're building a little tableau of production buildings which, produce things.
Because that would be weird otherwise if
it
they
would.
Didn't. Okay.
There's action buildings with which, what do you think those do?
Hold on, let me think.
No, wrong. They give you actions.
Damn.
And they consume resources while they're doing that. And then there's feature buildings that are generally, some are one-timers that require a little bit of timing when to play them most efficiently, and others just give you little bonuses when you do various things. And the tableau building part is what I really think is really cool.
Why specifically?
Because we're all fans, you and I at least, your wife, my wife, we're all fans of tableau building.
Right.
And this game asks you to do that. Your tableau is just this cardboard that directs you on where to place your production, action, and feature buildings. And there is a left side and a right side. The left side is for your empire's specific cards.
Okay.
And the right side is for these common cards.
Okay, so everybody's left side will be different.
This is my...
They'll be, right, and
Yep.
then the right side will have the same type buildings.
Right.
Okay.
And all the cards are buildings.
Okay.
The building cards that go on your left that are specific to your empire are generally more powerful, and they cost more resources to build, and they're worth more victory points. And the common cards that go on your right are generally weaker.
Like starter buildings kind of type thing?
Yeah, and to some of them are.
Okay.
And cost less resources.
Okay.
But they could be raised, those common cards.
And by raised, you mean R-A-Z-E-D,
yes.
not R-A-I-S-E-D.
I can attack you with
Okay.
my sword resources and destroy that building. And I will collect some resources from that building's destruction. You, however, will be able to turn that card over. Now it's a foundation for a future building, and you'll get one wood resource.
That seems like a crappy trade-off if you're me.
But here's the cool thing. Those Empire-specific cards, pretty much all of them require a foundation.
Oh, so you're kind of doing me a favor
In a way.
sense.
In a way.
Okay, so I'm not so frustrated by that. Okay,
So
that's good.
there's some interaction. Okay. It's negative interaction, but there's not tons of it, and you get a benefit from it, too.
Negative interaction meaning...
I'm attacking your buildings, right? And there's not a ton of it, though, because it does require swords, and if you don't have swords to spend, and there's other uses for swords, I can raise cards from my hand and get some resources.
To trim your deck type thing?
Trim my deck and get the resources I might need
Cool.
that that card offers.
All right.
There is protection against raising. You can produce a shield to put on there, which just makes it more expensive for me to raise your card. And if you're the Japanese, you get to put out samurai. Because the Japanese...
Why wouldn't I, obviously?
Well, even their empire cards can be raised for victory points. So you want to put samurais on those guys to protect them.
Oh,
the Japanese deck is cool.
So if I'm the Japanese and you raise one of my
I get a victory point.
Oh, ouch.
So you definitely want to put some samurai out there.
Okay. Well, it sounds
there's a card drafting variant to fill your hand up.
Which I'm sure we're going to want to do.
Oh, yeah, that's the only way, if you ask me. And each faction is completely asymmetrical in all respects. I have no idea if it's balanced, and I really don't give a crap, because it's too fun to worry about that kind of stuff. I like the cartoony art. Some people are like,
I'll be honest, I was turned off by it. This is built off of the same engine or built or comes from 51st State, and I prefer the post-apocalyptic Mad Max type to the not chibi, but just the fat little cartoony characters. I mean, it's
cool.
Cute.
It's cute. Yeah.
But for what it is, I think it fits, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's not a heavy
Right.
or even a medium game. It's just fun.
Okay.
About the only thing I dislike about it at this point in time is there's only 4 factions, so come on, Ignacy, get on it.
Do you know how many expansions he puts out for the... No, I have no doubt
Yeah,
that he has 10 of them planned. So I'm sure he'll take care of that.
My initial rating, it's a 3. It's a good game. Long filler. It's got a niche.
Cool. Rock on.
That's Imperial Settlers. All right, Edward. We've reached the point in this episode that I'm going to have to beg the forgiveness of our listeners, and we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, this is totally your idea. I give you all credit.
Or blame.
Yeah, maybe. But no, when you floated the idea and you gave me the little sound clips and everything, I gotta admit, dude, I was laughing my ass off. I hope our listeners enjoy it, have fun with it, as well as maybe live vicariously through me.
Exactly. And that's what I am doing.
All right. Just have fun with it and give us feedback, guys, because we're trying to do different things and have some fun with this. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it.
So in this episode, we're not going to cover a main game. What we are going to do is, I did not get to go to BGG CON. Edward did. So I am going to interview Edward. I have a panel of questions for him and extract from him some information that he can share with all of us about his experiences and what he saw at BGG CON 2014. But I'm going to do it in the context of a...
No. Let them listen.
All right. Then here we go.
It's time for Gamer Gab, Public Access TV's favorite board game talk show. Here's your host, Tony Fryer.
Thank you, and welcome to Gamer Gab. We're so glad you could tune in tonight. We have a great show in store for you. Later in the show, we're going to feature a live play session of Machi Koro, the Japanese card game that's sweeping America, and we're going to have a special appearance by Arkham Horror National Champion Sheila Blige. But first, let me introduce tonight's special guest, Edward Euler of Heavy Cardboard. Let's welcome him out here, everybody. Come on, Edward.
Edward, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
I appreciate it, sir. Well, BGG CON, let's get right into it, shall we?
Absolutely.
So why did you go, and why should anyone want to go to BGG CON?
This is a no-brainer to me. Why BGG CON? As far as a heavy strategy board gamer like me, there are really only 3 big cons every year. There's Gen Con in August, there's Spiel or Essen in October, and then there's BGG CON, which is the week before Thanksgiving. I've been to Gen Con. I went to Gen Con last year. Amanda and I went. We had a blast. It was fun. However, it's not board game centric. It's other things centric with board games. And the demo or the exhibitor hall there is a sight to behold. But for the most part, and there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, Gen Con is Ameritrash type games. Again, there are exceptions. There are some Euros that come out there. Essen is Eurocentric, which is what you and I tend to enjoy the most.
You bet.
The appeal for BGG CON is that it has all the Essen releases, and it's 5 days all about playing board games. Nothing else, 24/7, all those 5 days. Plus, for me, the time off works with the following week of Thanksgiving, to where I'm only taking 3 days of vacation to get that entire following week off. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Cool.
If you want to play board games at a convention, this is the one to go to.
So to get down to Dallas, you're going to have a place to stay. Tell me about your hotel experience a little bit. You know, room cost, the staff, etc.
Well, I believe it was $115 a night for 5 nights. We came down on Tuesday. The con does not start officially until Wednesday morning. However, there's plenty of gaming that goes on Tuesday night.
Plenty of eating from what I hear.
Yeah, that too. So on that note, let me back up a little. We left about 1 in the afternoon on Tuesday. There were 5 of us from our local area that flew down on the same plane. We flew Southwest because bags fly free, and God knows I had a crap ton of games to bring back.
I picked you up at the airport. You had several bags.
It helps that there were 2 of us.
I had to bring the big car.
Right. So 5 of us, we rented a van at Love Field, and we stopped at Heart 8, which is a famous barbecue joint there in the Dallas area. I'll be honest, the pulled pork and the cream corn, that was top-notch. The ribs were also good. Everything else, kind of meh.
Yeah.
But, man, the cream corn alone, I kid you not, was worth going. Anyway, so we stopped at Heart 8, and then after that, the advantage of the van is we got to go to the grocery store and pick up provisions for the whole week. So we had snacks, get apples, bananas, granola bars, whatever, sodas, tons of water, and all that. Speaking of which, don't let me forget about the water thing. We got some Fuji bottles. The
square ones?
Yeah, the square ones, because they're good and easy to hold. They had water dispensaries all over the place.
You refill?
Yeah.
Or
refill, if you will, for fans of...
Refill came from a misprint in Wildcatter, so we have fun with it every time.
So once we got to the hotel staff was truly top-notch.
So I imagine those guys were under some pressure, too. Like thousands of
they had
spiral-eyed gaming freaks.
But, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what to expect from the staff because, it's inside the airport. It's DFW Hyatt Regency. You're in the terminal. You literally walk to the gate if you want to, if you're coming out, if you're leaving.
From DFW.
Right. But the hotel staff there just couldn't have been cooler. They were welcoming. They answered all questions. Everybody was just as friendly as can be. Nobody had that kind of stuffy kind of attitude to where like, oh, what are you doing here?
It's Texas, not New York.
Well, still, it was a pleasant surprise. I didn't expect it, and it was welcome. It was nice.
Cool.
The buffet there was pretty good and reasonably priced. I want to say it was $12, $13 per person.
All you can eat?
Oh, well, it's a buffet, so
Yeah.
by default.
Cool.
Also, one cool thing that I didn't take advantage of enough were they had takeout menus, places that delivered. And there's one, typical takeout Chinese joint that I had while we were playing Democker that was just, it was really, really good.
The hotel lets you order food outside?
Yeah, and they deliver
Because a lot don't allow that.
Yeah,
Wow.
dude came to the bellhop, and they called me and said, hey, your order's here. Rock on.
That's cool.
They have room service, and again, totally reasonably priced. One thing that I will recommend to everybody, if you're going to try and get reservations, get them as soon as they open. Even if you're not sure if you're going, reserve a room, because it's a lot of people scramble in late because it will sell out. Same with tickets for BGG CON. It sells out really, really early. And another thing, get a roommate. Unless you are super picky and super paranoid of somebody stealing your stuff, find a friend, have somebody room, splits the cost in half. That's what we did. We had our buddy Travis for Tuesday night and our buddy Kevin for the rest of the time. It helped cut the cost down for us.
So you mentioned tickets. What do tickets to BGG CON cost?
I think it was about $110. Which,
Really?
Yeah, which I realize it sounds pretty steep, but again, it's 5 days, 5 days, 24/7, and the library is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I saw the pics.
If you can think of a game that you would even remotely want to play, it's in the library. And the thing that blew me away is seeing some really expensive games just sitting there on the shelf right next to regular common games. Seeing games like God's Playground or Saturn or Princes of the Renaissance or, other things that I can't think of right now. Seeing those just hang out on the shelf and here, go check it out and go play it is awesome. To me, the price of admission is totally reasonable.
So tell me about the crowds. I mean, is it freaking manic in there, or can you move around? Or...
The only other major con that I can compare this to is Gen Con. Haven't been to Essen, and we have our local cons here in Denver, but those are not even in the same realm. Mm-hmm. So to me, honestly, it never felt crowded. The way the rooms are set up, I could never not find a table.
Really? Okay.
There was plenty of room to walk past tables. Here's a good example. On Saturday, when I didn't have a game that I was in the middle of or, scheduled or whatever, I was able to go through the main gaming hall, aisle by aisle, stop and take pictures and talk to people and had plenty of room, wasn't bumping into people left and right. The vendor halls, plenty of room in between to be able to walk down and everything. They had 2,700 people there, give or take a couple. It never really felt like that with one exception. The one time it felt like a huge mob of people was during the closing ceremonies. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of people. Because they had Rich Sommer from Mad Men up on stage along with all Aldi and all the BGG, admins and all that. And they had talking about just a million different things. And they had a ton of game giveaways, gave away a custom Crokinole board and all that. And during that, the open gaming area is standing room only, and it's nuts. But to be honest with you, nobody's really playing games during that time. It's just kind of watching the ceremonies. Right. So outside of that one thing, the crowd wasn't bad at all.
So what about the noise? Sometimes when you're trying to teach a game or you're concentrating on a heavy game, noise can really suck. I played Arkwright, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I played Arkwright twice. Once on Thursday, once on Saturday, in the main gaming hall. One of the heaviest games I've ever played in my life. I had no doubt with a lengthy explanation.
Sure.
For teaching.
Right. Had no problem hearing, and I'm deaf as is.
Me too.
What? Huh? I had no problem hearing the guy, our buddy, teach the game. I had no problem talking. The drone of the noise, of this cavernous room wasn't a problem. There was one place where noise was an issue, at least to me. In years past, they had a room called the filmmaker's room. It had really poor lighting and this and that, and that's part of where the open gaming room was. This year, that's where the hot games and the demo games were being hosted. Amanda and I went in there once to take pictures of everything that was going on in there and never wanted to go back in there again. There's no insulation on the walls. It's a low ceiling, and it just...
Headache.
I was physically uncomfortable in that room, and it wasn't even that busy. I was like, no more. The good news about that is, even though that's where the hot games were, there were tons of copies out in the open gaming area and in the side rooms, to where if you wanted to play whatever the hot game was that you were looking for, odds are you'd have no problem being able to get into a game of it, not in that room.
Well, the reason to go in there is if you didn't know what the hot games were, and who doesn't know what the hot games were?
Right. Well, I mean, that's a good place to learn if you don't. And if there were games that you heard were being demoed, that's the only place to play them, but I didn't run into that problem.
Let's bring a little heavy cardboard into the picture here. What did heavy cardboard do or present at BGG CON 2014?
The main thing that we did was on Saturday night, we had a heavy cardboard, heavy gaming session and meetup for fans of the show.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't know if I should expect 6 people or if I should expect 60. I had no idea. I was just hoping it was closer to the latter than
Right.
or the latter, not the former.
Walk into the room and there's just a person vacuuming.
Right. So that was the main thing that we did. Or I guess we, by default, did while I was there. Saturday night, 8 o'clock, we had one of the rooms reserved that was just behind the library. And I don't know, I want to say there were probably 20, 25 people that stayed and played games. And we probably had another 20 people at least come by just to say hi to, whether it's to me, to meet me or Amanda or other listeners of the show. We had a few designers even stop by to say hi and say that they were fans of the show. So that was pretty cool.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because I'm going to ask you about designers.
We also had a pretty sizable game giveaway that I was pleasantly surprised by the publisher support that we got for that.
Yes, and that's something I want to highlight is what exactly was that publisher support?
Well, before BGG CON started, I reached out to a handful of publishers and was saying, hey, look, we're doing this heavy cardboard meetup thing, and would you guys be interested in donating anything for us to give away there? Mm-hmm. Some never replied, and that's okay. That's fine. That's cool. But those that did, everybody that did reply said yes, and I was pleasantly surprised at the positive reception that received. So that was cool.
It's great.
So I want to highlight
some terrific publishers out there.
There really are. The ones that I wanted to highlight. Now, I should note that I did not ask our main sponsor of the show, Game Surplus, to donate anything. The reason I didn't is I figure they do enough for us as is. I didn't want to feel like I'm trying to, bleed them dry, so to speak.
No.
But that's the only reason they're not mentioned here is because I intentionally did not ask them. The ones that I did, though, the few that I wanted to highlight were Mercury Games. Kevin is the CEO there. Couldn't have been nicer. We emailed back and forth prior, and then when I went to the booth, I introduced myself, gave him our card, and we talked for, 10 minutes between he, myself, and Amanda, and just was personable. Couldn't have been nicer. Was giving us infamy promos to give away to add on to other smaller giveaways that we had. And the big thing that he gave us was a copy of the Capitals to give away. So that was really cool.
That was on my list for
top 5 of the year. And I mentioned that to him, and you should have seen him. He lit up.
He beamed?
Yeah, he
Nice.
did. That was pretty cool. Also, I talked to him about Polis because they're the American publisher for Polis, Fight for the Hegemony, and told him how big of fans we were of that game. But really good people, and thanks a lot to Mercury Games. GMT was not at BGG CON, but I had reached out to the manager there And without a hesitation, I think I got a reply in like 5 minutes.
Wow.
He's like, sure, I'll send you a copy of Thunder Alley.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm like, holy cow,
That's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
So that was exciting.
Did you get to play any Thunder Alley yet?
Sadly, I have not.
Okay,
Amanda
okay.
did, though.
Okay.
And at the meetup, actually, after I played Madeira with our Jack Vassal Memorial Fund winner,
Yes.
Travis, and also our buddy Matt, Matt, Travis, Amanda, and a couple other, I think Lance and his wife played Thunder Alley at the meetup. So that was
Wait a minute. I think I'm recalling seeing a tweet from somebody who's saying, look, I'm playing my copy of Thunder Alley that I just won at the Heavy Cardboard meetup.
Yep, that was Lance. Actually,
Okay,
that won it.
okay.
Yep.
Right on.
And last but not least, the other company that I wanted to mention was Victory Point Games. Tend to be war game centric.
Yes.
And I emailed back and forth. They were like, yeah, stop by our booth. I did. And they not only gave us one game, but they gave us 2 games. They gave us a copy of Cuba and a copy of The Mound Builders, which is one of only 2 Native American games, Native American centric games that I can think of. That and Navajo Wars.
Okay.
And so I thought that was really cool that they gave us both of those.
Cool.
We also gave away a couple of heavy cardboard t-shirts. We gave away one of our embroidered hoodies. And we also, I gave away one of my own copies of the Necropolis expansion for Snowdonia as well.
With the coffins?
No, let's not get carried away now. I love our listeners.
Generosity has its limits.
It does.
Cool. Good job, man. You mentioned designers. 1 or 2 stopped by during the giveaway. What designers during the course of BGG CON did you meet?
Early on, I made a point to go hunt down Ignacy Trevicek of Portal Games, and he and I had planned a game of Pret-a-Porter for later in the con, and I wanted to just go up and meet him because I'm a fanboy. I mean, it was cool just to be like, wow, that's Ignacy right there.
That guy came a long way, too.
Yeah, he did. And some other designers that I met were David Short, he of Ground Floor and Planes. Little side note on that. I saw him standing, taking pictures of people playing a copy of Planes while we were playing Arkwright kitty corner to that. And I was like, wow, it's David Short. I was like, hey, David. I introduced myself, and he's like, oh, hey, I know your show. I was like, cool, rock on. And I told him, I was like, look, I just wanted to let you know, big fan of Ground Floor. And he lit up, just happy as can be that somebody noticed him and mentioned. And so I thought that was just cool. I like that. Also met Michael Keller of City Hall and Captains of Industry. I got to play Captains of Industry. We may talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
Even though I've met him in the past and I consider him a friend, Daniel Berger was there, Hands in the Sea, the upcoming game. While not designers, a couple of developers I met, which I thought was pretty cool.
Okay, same vein.
Right. I met Paul Inkow, who developed Kanban.
Right.
And I also met Steve Rogers, who was the developer of Panamax, and
Very cool.
had like a 10-15 minute discussion about how the development of Panamax went. And that was really, it's little stuff like that that I was blown away that I could do there. That you can just see somebody be like, oh, wow, is that so-and-so? Stop, talk to them, and be just, normal people and just kind of chop shop type thing, talk shop. And it was a lot of fun.
So what publishers did you meet?
Well,
You mentioned the ones that gave us some games.
Sure. The vendor hall was predominantly publishers and stores there.
Sure.
And it was, to be honest with you, it was a lot bigger than I expected it to be. But some of the publishers that are specifically mentioned Mercury Games. Also met Stephen Bonacore, Stronghold Games. He's short. Hi, Stephen. No, nice enough guy. I met Grant Dalglish, I think is how you say his name. Him and I believe it's his father own Columbia Games. Met him and got to talk to him, having just played East Front 2 just before going. Talked to him about that. That was pretty cool. Met the guys at Three Hairs Games, which I'll be honest, yeah, I know. They made Lagoon, which is one of the games that I picked up in the virtual flea market.
Okay.
And come to find out, they were like, "Oh, dude, and they were as excited to meet me as I was them. Talk about being humbled. I was like, wow, that's
A lot of people like heavy games.
yeah. It was pretty cool. I saw, having already met Don from Nightworks, again, of Hands in the Sea, and our buddy Justin Schaefer and his
Yes.
business partner Robert were there for Terra Nova Games.
Yep. Ophir.
Yep, Ophir and Far Space Foundry.
Oh, yeah. That looks
Coming
cool.
up. The artwork on that is fantastic.
Nice.
And having played the game, there's more decisions there than I anticipated there being. I enjoyed my play of it.
Awesome.
Absolutely. There are more publishers that I met and stores. You know, there was Z-Man there and all that.
Yeah.
But specific like the main guys at the companies. Those are the ones I met. I also met the guys at Czech Games Edition, which was cool.
Let me ask then, what fellow board game reviewers did you meet?
Not as many as I expected to be. I saw a bunch, but I didn't actually meet them.
Oh.
A lot of them looked really busy. They were talking with their friends or talking, and I didn't want to just be that guy and be like, "Oh, hey, that seemed weird." But the ones I did meet were the One Tar, Tiffany Ralph. Mm-hmm. I met Maggie Bott, who has very blue hair.
Yes.
So you could spot her from anywhere in the room. That was cool. I met Rhiannon from Spooning Meeples. I met Paul from Shut Up, Sit Down. That was
British
pretty
guy?
cool. Yeah,
Right.
that was pretty cool. Other ones that I saw that I didn't get a chance to talk to. I saw Rodney from Watch It Played, although technically not a reviewer. I get that, but I saw Rodney.
Sure.
I saw Stephanie.
He seems like such a super cool dude.
Yeah, but he was in the middle of the game. Didn't want to bug him.
Did you watch it played?
I did,
Okay.
as a matter of fact. Yeah, there were a handful of others. One other that I do want to point out is I actually ran into and talked with for about 5 minutes none other than Tom Vassell of the Dice Tower.
Yeah.
And I went up, I introduced myself, and he looked at me like, who? Like, what? And he's like, no, I'm just messing with you. I subscribe to your show. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Rock on.
That is very cool.
And so we got to talking a little bit and told him that even though you and I have different tastes in games, I appreciate what he does for the hobby.
Yeah.
And then he took exception with us having different tastes in games. He said, I like Le Havre. I'm a big fan. But I brought up Craftsman.
Right.
And so it was just cool banter back and forth. Totally nice guy. And again, flattered that he
has
listens
done
to
a
our
lot.
show.
So he has done a lot for the hobby, and that's
Oh,
very,
absolutely.
very cool.
I think he's
and we
the
do
face of
have
the hobby.
disparate tastes, but I watch all this stuff.
Yeah, I listen to his show.
Yeah.
I might not necessarily enjoy all the reviews on his party games, family games, kid games, whatever. I still listen to the show, so there's that.
Did you meet any listeners that you want to call out?
Oh God,
Too many to call out?
Yeah, seriously, and this is going to sound egotistical, and there's no way to not have it sound this way.
I will say this: you are not an egotistical man.
I try. I think I'm a
You're
fairly
level.
humble guy.
You're level.
Yeah.
You're calm. You're normal.
But I gotta be honest. I was humbled, and I was blown away at how many people knew who I was. Now, granted, some days I was wearing my heavy cardboard hoodie.
Sure.
Some days I was wearing a T-shirt or whatever. But there were times to where I was sitting. There was one in particular where I was sitting eating lunch, and my back was to the wall. I wasn't wearing a heavy cardboard T-shirt, and so you couldn't see the emblem, the logo on my back. And a guy comes walking by, stops, and looks at me and says, "Hey, you're from Heavy Cardboard." He's like, "Thank you for your show. It's awesome." And I was like, stunned. I'm sitting there like with a chicken finger half in my mouth, like just blown away. Like, wow. And it was so awesome to meet our listeners, and not just for, oh, look at me, I have listeners. Nothing like that. It was just cool to interact and just BS with them and talk about and hear that they've bought X game and love it because of what they heard on our show. And it's mind blowing, man.
Very, very cool.
It was just absolutely just flattering and humbling.
It just makes you feel good about what we talk about.
Yeah, I think and let's face it, we're no different than them. We just
No.
happen to choose to do this. The end.
We've heard other people's stuff, and we've bought their games on those recommendations, and we're just passing, paying it back.
So a couple guys that I do want to single out. There are a couple that I mentioned, but I want to give them props here. That donated money on behalf of the show for the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. Travis, who we played Madeira together, he had been wanting to play it, so I taught it, had a blast with that. And then...
Did you school him?
No, actually, no.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
when I teach games, I'm terrible.
I know, it's hard, man.
Matt, who is a big fan of the show, he also was a winner from the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. He won T-shirt and coasters. So thank you very much to both Travis and Matt. Also finally got a chance to meet Lance and his beautiful wife. Lance is our partner. He runs the radio station, Tarleton State University, where we have a segment. His show is called Bags and Boards on the radio station there, 100.7 The Planet. So it was cool to meet, to put a face to the name and all that. So that was, and seriously, I probably met 30, 40 listeners while I was there, and it was just
That's awesome.
It was just mind-blowing.
Were there any, characters or freaks or really weird or, I don't know, maybe those are the wrong, maybe bad.
Yeah, because that sounds negative.
It does. And I don't mean it that way necessarily, but, there's always, I met this one person.
There
7'2".
Close, actually. There was one guy wearing a pink dragon knitted hat.
Nice.
One day that I was like,
a pink dragon.
yeah, and I was like, I cannot pull off that look. I'm
Right.
like, God bless you. That was awesome. But no, it was cool to meet some of the people. A lot of the people that I've interacted with on BGG. There's one guy that's unmistakable. Krusty. His name's Rusty. Seriously, he's 6'8", 6'9", and as nice as can be. He's famous for being the guy who wore his BGG CON badge the entire year until the next BGG CON.
Wow.
I don't know if that's something you want to be known for, but nonetheless, super nice guy, hardcore war gamer. I played Churchill with him, and just, really cool, real cool. I'll be honest, man, I didn't meet a single person that I was like, yeah, thanks, no more. I don't want to be around you anymore. Everybody was awesome. Just
Cool.
yeah.
All right, we'll be right back with more from Edward and Heavy Cardboard right after a word from our sponsors.
Do you have the holiday blues, feeling listless and without direction? Do you need a little more to look forward to? Well, buy a new board game from GameSurplus.com. Buying board games has been proven to cause absent-minded singing, create a happy anxiety when you see the UPS truck in your neighborhood, and gathering friends at the table for fun new challenges. GameSurplus.com offers great games at great prices, and Heavy Cardboard is proud to be sponsored by Game Surplus. So, do yourself a favor and buy a new board game at GameSurplus.com. Buy board games only under the supervision of your spouse.
Welcome back to Gamer Gab, everybody. Let's get back to our BGG CON conversation with our guest, Edward Euler.
Edward, I have to ask you, there's a few games that you may have had an opportunity to try. One I know you did for sure. So let me ask you about a few things. And if you could relate to both me and our listeners what you saw and or experienced about these games.
Sure. All right. What
the
you
first
got?
one, and the one I know you did get to play, and one we're anticipating for the content of our show in the future, is Arkwright.
Yeah, so Arkwright, Spielworks, obviously a huge Spielworks fanboy, I am. I played 2 games of it. I played the Spinning Jenny version first on Thursday, and I played the Waterframe, which is the big boy version of it, on Saturday. I was lucky enough to keep the same group of people together for both games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh,
so...
that's damn helpful, I bet.
Yeah, well, there was myself, Nicholas, who was the provider of the game as well as the teacher. He'd played it a couple of times previous. The aforementioned Matt, the Jack Vassell and fan of the show, and his buddy Dave, who I met and was just awesome. Everybody, again, awesome people. Amanda also kind of teamed up with me during the rules explanation and maybe the first round or two, just to kind of see how it worked. And then she went off to go do her own thing. So setup for the game is pretty fiddly because there's 81 pawns that have to be set up at the beginning. And there's lots of piles of stuff and all that.
20 minutes of setup time.
Yeah, legitimately. Well, maybe only 10 minutes if you have other people that know what they, if it's one person doing it, absolutely. As I mentioned, Nicholas had played it previously and was our teacher. I'll be honest, when he was running through the rules, I had not read the rules previously because I knew that Nicholas knew them and could teach us, so I didn't feel like I needed to, quote-unquote, waste my time doing that since he was going to run through the game. I think it's the first time that I've sat down to a game and thought, this might be too much. This might be a step too far.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, there is a lot going on here. My mind was kind of blown. I was intimidated, I'll be honest. I play 18xx games and all that, but I was intimidated.
By spinning Jenny.
Holy
crap.
Well, I don't know what...
She's a bad dude.
However, once we started... and maybe a couple rounds in, it started to click, and I was starting to understand it, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
So was it difficult for him to teach it, you think?
No, he actually did a really good job of teaching it, and it's just density of quantity, if you will, of rules. Just there's a lot of things there, and having only played it twice, I hesitate to be too critical without having enough plays in. The one thing that I will say that added to the intimidation factor was the fact that there are not a lot of visual cues on the board, and there's a lot of memory things. Oh, if you do this, you need to do that. And there's nothing on the board that would tell you that you need to do that.
So you can be taught these things, but...
remembering them during gameplay.
So many things.
Yeah, and it's just...
Whereas, so learning in the game has a couple of challenges.
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
That said, I loved the Spinning Jenny version. And I was like... yeah, okay, I got this. No problem.
Well, let me ask you. You say you loved it. Was it the challenge? Was it fun? Tell me about that.
What I consider fun, some people don't. I enjoy the work that goes into the game.
I know what you consider fun. Right. It's what I consider fun.
Right, and I thought it was a blast. It was mental gymnastics. It was, you're focused. There's tons of interaction. Some people have said there's not much interaction, and everybody at the table thought that there was quite a bit.
Okay.
It's keeping the rules straight in your head first off, and then just figuring out a strategy and trying to keep your head above water, because it's an economic game. The goal of the game is to have the most money at the end of the game. I took a picture and I tweeted this out. I had $2 at the halfway point of the game, and I'm like, good thing this isn't an economic... oh. So I didn't play it well the first game, but I loved it. Now, here's the kicker. When we went Saturday to play the second game, I already had it somewhat fresh in my mind because I just played it 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, I've played a lot of games in between there.
Sure. With minimal sleep probably on the nights in between, too.
Yeah, I'd say 4 to 6 hours, or 5 to 6 hours a night. So it's not, not...
It's enough for me.
However, when we got to the Waterframe version, I was like, you got to be kidding me. All this on top of that?
Really?
I was like, no way. And the big thing that the Waterframe version brings in that Spinning Jenny doesn't is the shipping. And the shipping to external customers, or external markets, if you will, the goods that you produce. While Nicholas was teaching us this, I told the guys at the table, I'm not shipping. It's just too much. I was like, to hell with this. I'm just going to focus. It brings in enough that isn't just shipping. I was like, I'm not going to. I ended up doing nothing but shipping the entire game.
What?
And I ended up crushing the guys. The reason is because nobody else was shipping, and there's got to be that competition for the ships and everything, and they let me run away with it. And we thought we either played something wrong or we broke the game somehow. And neither was the case. Doing a reading of the rules after the game, found out, no, there just has to be competition between the players because shipping is that lucrative. So... again, during the rules read through or run through with Nick, not the rules run, but him teaching us the game, I was just overwhelmed at the amount of rules and the amount of stuff. Just, oh my God, there's so many options. How the hell do you give me focus? Give me something. That's why I was like, I want to eliminate the shipping. But then I was like, okay, hell, this seems to be the best option. Let me try it. And then I was like, oh, it's not that hard. Oh, this makes a lot of money. And just boom, boom, boom.
Apparently there's a middle ground, Spinning Mule.
Yeah, that came out while we were at BGG CON, so I can't speak to that. Yeah. But to be honest with you, having played them both now, the waterframe version is the only version I would play unless I'm teaching somebody new. So for our first game, it'll definitely be Spinning Jenny. And then I don't know, maybe we could advance it to the mule instead of, we could skip Spinning Jenny.
We might want to, just for the purpose of content. So before we move on, let me ask you an initial weight rating. On the BGG scale, is this 4? Is this 3.5?
Oh no, it's 4 plus. 4 plus. In my opinion, right. I really do. Let me put it in context here. Matt, who after Saturday's play said that he'd written the game off prior to the con, as he didn't know what this game would bring that, say, Brass doesn't already bring to the table. So, because he doesn't buy that many games. His buddy wanted to play it, so he's like, sure, okay, I'll give it a go. By the end of Saturday, the last I heard, he's actively looking for a copy, even though it's a $100 price tag. So, in my opinion,
that says something.
That's telling.
Let's see. The next game I want to ask you about is Alchemist. Now, Alchemist, it's not a heavy game or whatever, but it's getting a lot of buzz because of the technology.
I'll be honest,
I'm a technology freak.
This is one of 2 of the most popular games that I observed during the entire con. The other was Mysterium. So I played Alchemist once on Friday with 3 random guys. I saw them setting
you got to play it.
Yeah. I saw them setting it up, and they're like, anybody looking to play Alchemist? I was like, I'll jump in. Sure. Yeah. And that's another cool thing about BGG CON. See something? Hey, you got a seat? Cool. Sit and play.
Right on.
The teacher of the game, he was funny, taught it well. It's actually really easy to play. I was surprised at how much of the worker placement aspect there was in the game. I thought it was mostly an app and deduction. I was like, oh. The app was easy to use. It was intuitive. It didn't get in the way. The one gripe I will say is if people are not prepared for their turn, getting to setting the cards up to take the picture or have the app scan them, that bogged the game down, and it will drag. It will play twice as long as it should if people are not prepared for their turn.
How many did you play with, and how long did it go?
We played 4, and it went like 2.5, almost 3 hours, and I wanted to kill. I wanted to kill small animals because of 2 of the guys. They were trying to optimize, and I'm like, really? It's our first play. Come on, guys. I'm not really good at deduction games at all. My brain just doesn't work that way. But even that, so I had a lot of fun with it, but I'm not anxious to go out and buy it. I am anxious to play it again, but I don't think it's going to be a game that I'm going to want to buy. Not because it's not a good game, just not really my cup of tea, but I do want to play it again.
What do you think the challenge level for Alchemist is?
I'd say it's a medium weight game.
Medium weight game?
But the weight comes into figuring out how to deduce, okay, I know it's not this and it's not this, so that means it must be this, or it also can't be this, and that's where my brain breaks.
Okay. So based on our discussion earlier in this episode, you did not get to play Fields of Arla.
I did not. However, it looks great. I watched a couple of turns of people playing it because that was played at a handful of tables. It wasn't really widespread because a 2-player game has its limits as far as the attractiveness to the gaming world. It's not going to be as popular as a game that plays 2 to 4, for instance.
Sure.
It's a huge table hog.
Oh, yeah.
But everyone I talked to who played it loved it. And I don't know how to make the words. It's hard for me to quantify.
Like my sister says, use your words.
Right. But it looks like a perfect 2-player game. I am so pissed off that I did not buy a copy.
Yeah, I'm a little upset at that too.
I walk by the Z-Man booth every day, and I eyed it every day. And Amanda was like, hey, you'll be able to get it when we get home.
In my head, I was going to say to you, when you said to me, hey, Tone, is there any games I need to pick up for you? I was like, Fields of Arla, but I'd already pre-ordered it. It was coming out supposedly before Thanksgiving. No, Z-Man. I can wait.
But it's Z-Man, and they have a history of
they didn't say Thanksgiving of what year.
Yeah, right. So, but the other thing, and not just to pawn it off on Amanda, as I may want to do, but I had a ton of games I was already bringing home, and I didn't know if it was going to fit. It's a big, heavy box.
As usual, the man was right.
And I could pack it in headroom and should have.
We know about luggage and packing. And
I love you, babe, but I should have got the game. That's my one biggest regret of BGG CON.
I like her too, and I should have had you get the game for me.
But yeah, it's just really excited. It looks so damn good.
Yeah, I'm a big Uva fan, so I hear it's open like Caverna, but a little tighter maybe. It's certainly not Agricola tight. And so I'm pretty damn interested.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Cool. So my next question you might have answered already. The heaviest game you played sounds like it was Arkwright. If you say no to that, I'm going to be shocked.
Hold on. Yeah. Newest new game or heaviest new game I played? Yes.
What is the heaviest game you played at BGG CON?
I don't know between three. Arkwright, Here I Stand, and Democker. Probably Arkwright.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Democker to me...
But you did play some other heavy games.
Oh, yeah. I played those three.
Madeira,
Yeah, in Madeira, right. But I to be honest with you, Arkwright is far heavier than Madeira.
So, with all this heavy game love going on, what's the deal on this Camel Cup Championship, my friend? Do I need to revoke your heavy cardboard card?
No. Just because we have this podcast doesn't mean I can't play a game.
No,
so here's the deal.
I like everything.
Yeah. So here's the deal. It's Saturday, late afternoon, early evening. Our Democker game was supposed to kick off at 8 o'clock. A 5-player Sharks game of Democker. We had it set. We were going to set it up in a conference room. We had comfy chairs. It was awesome. Couldn't wait for it to start. But I had about an hour to kill. And I'm like, I've already walked around the room. I've tweeted out tons of pictures that day. And I'm like, what do I want to do? And this guy comes walking around with a Players Wanted sign and a Camel Cup. And I'm like, this would just be hysterical. Just because I'm wearing my heavy cardboard hoodie. And here I am rocking some Camel Cup. I'm like, I'm in, dude. So we play at 5-player. He runs through the rules, which takes about 30 seconds. No, it takes about 5 minutes to go through the rules. And it was just... We laughed so much during playing this game and just had so much fun. Before the game even started, it's all about betting on camel races. I bet on which camel I thought would win. Obviously, the yellow camel. In which camel would lose.
Was there a red one?
There was.
Okay.
But I did not vote. Did not pick it to lose. I picked the white camel to lose to finish dead last. Long story short, I nailed them both.
Nice.
And I ended up running away with the game. And the whole table's like, how did you know? And I'm like, dude.
Skillful dice rolling.
Obviously. It was just goofy, silly fun. Had a blast. And actually had a couple of people stop and be like, wait, you're playing this? For real? And I'm like, yeah, have some fun with this.
So was that your best victory of the con?
No. It was the most fun victory.
Okay. Really?
But the best victory I had, and this is legitimate, I felt good about myself. The night we got there, Tuesday night, we after we got done with Hard 8 in the grocery store, we checked into the hotel and I had to run downstairs because I had a scheduled game with some legitimate strong players of 1846. Now, a couple of them were real tired. We started about 9:30 at night, but I ended up winning the game. We called it a little early. We agreed, the places where everybody finished, and everyone agreed that I had won the game. And that felt really good.
That's cool.
First, that was my first win of 1846. And second, the players I played with, part of the reason I won is because they were tired and they made some mistakes, no doubt. But I beat some legitimate players. Morganza on BGG, and I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but another really strong 18xxer. And my buddy Travis, who used to live here, moved to San Diego. He played in it as well, and we just had a blast.
So flip that coin. What was the worst defeat of the con?
Probably Imperialism, Road to Domination. But I was actually kind of happy about losing to Amanda. We played with our buddy Phil in that game. We played 3-player. I was just happy for the game to end.
Phil needs a nickname. But anyway.
That game was not enjoyable, really. It was super, super slow build-up, and then it just became a frantic race, and just too random, and just, did not... Let's just say it saved me $80 playing that game, because Phil and I both wanted to go buy a copy because we were worried that they might sell out.
Get all snapped up.
Right. And we were like, nah, let's play it first and this and that. So we ended up playing it and we're like, woo!
Try before you buy.
Yes, definitely.
Last handful of questions here.
All right.
Overall, one best experience.
Impossible for me to narrow it down. I know you hate when I do this, but I'll make them quick.
Okay.
The Democker newbie games that I scheduled, I did not
Teaching.
No, I did not teach. My buddy German Mike, who I played in the Shark Here I Stand game, was a godsend. He actually taught 15 people. He ran through we had 3 games I organized, and it was going on the same time as my Here I Stand game. So he basically, everyone watched the Scott Nicholson video. I asked them to, or they had played previously, just they weren't really experienced. He ran them through a test run. There were 3 tables of it, and that was just cool to see.
That's awesome.
3 simultaneous games of Democker. One of the other highlights was that Shark Democker game. German Mike, my buddy Kevin, Open Face Chad, don't ask, Chris, and myself were in this boardroom playing a game on about German politics, and everybody is really well, suited to play it, experienced. I had my takeout Chinese. It was just an awesome game.
Cool.
It was so much fun, dude.
Right on.
It was so good, we've already planned a game for next year.
I get one of those 5 chairs.
I'm sure we'll be able to fit you in. The other 2 highlights, Here I Stand. It wasn't so much playing Here I Stand, because I knew I had no chance. It was the guys who I played with. People, I'd heard about this game. It's an annual thing that's been going on for years. They had a guy bow out. I was lucky enough to be friends with a couple of them, and they're like, hey, do you want in? I said, yes. And so I was the Ottomans. I play Roger, Chris, Troy, Scott, and Justin, and me. Like I said, I played the Ottomans. The single moment highlight of the con was this. I'm playing as the Ottomans. I'm attacking the papacy in Venice. The papacy counters with 8 dice to attack me. They roll. Hits on 5s and 6s. They get 3 hits, which is reasonable. That's totally normal. I have 8 dice. I roll. Hits on 5s and 6s. 0 hits. Okay. I have my home card I can play. Gives me 5 extra dice. I roll. Hits on 5s and 6s. Wait for it. No hits. So I rolled 13 dice against the Pope and missed. You're telling me God's not on his side? The entire table just lost it, laughing, just talking smack to me like, ooh, look, Suleiman's going to end up spending the rest of the game in the papacy dungeon. I reached over and I kissed Troy's ring. He was the Pope.
Nice.
And it was such a moment at the con that I told you the 3 games of Democker were going on next to us, right? They came over and were like, hey, could you guys keep it down? Which is really funny, right? But all in all, the single probably best thing about the con, I know it sounds corny, but it's the people.
Yeah.
My buddy Roger had mentioned how, playing games at BGG CON is great, and I read all this stuff before going, how great it is and all that, but it's the people that make the con, and hanging out and seeing people that you only see once a year. And I'll be honest, I don't really like people as a general rule, because a lot of people are assholes. However, that said, I get what they're talking about now. Having gone and it was all about the people. The playing the games was awesome, I had a blast, and it was super memorable. But meeting the people, hanging out, BSing, and just having people from around the world that you had something in common with and could just sit and play with and have fun was just the creme de la creme.
So what was the worst experience? Besides leaving.
Right, well, yeah.
That's horrid. Frightening.
Probably the filmmaker's room, just how loud and uncomfortable it was. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, that's the only thing I could think of that was bad.
Besides no longer seeking Amanda's counsel when it comes to what games to buy, is there anything you'd do different?
Probably schedule better. Now that I kind of have a lay of the land, I know where things are and I know how things work, I would schedule things better because I feel like there was too much downtime. I didn't play as many games as I wanted to. I still played a bunch of games, but I feel like I could have done better use of my time.
Okay.
Other than that, nah, not really.
So even though there was some downtime, were there some things you didn't get to that you had expected to?
Fields of Arla, which I mentioned earlier. Aquasphere, I saw it played quite a few places, but I was like, it didn't feel like it was such a rush because I knew I'd pre-ordered it already.
Dude, we're talking January.
Yeah, I know. I wish I'd played that. I made a conscious decision to skip the flea market and sleep because we hadn't gotten to bed until like 4 a.m. the night before. And I do regret missing that because there's just I wanted to be able to experience just the craziness that is the flea market, but also some of the great deals. But I'll be honest, I didn't know if I'd have room, so I didn't feel like I missed it too much until afterwards. Scott and Skip and Phil came up and told me all these great deals I missed, and I'm like, yeah, thanks, guys, because that's the type of friends they are. I love those guys.
Is there anything else on your mind that my questioning hasn't triggered before I get to my final question?
The only two things really that I can think of were the absolute madness that is the virtual meetup, the virtual flea market meetup. Dude, that's 1 hour, go. And you have to try and make trades or find the people that you agreed to buy from and that they agreed to buy from you, et cetera, et cetera. The smart thing is I had about 14 things that I was either buying or selling, 16 things that I was buying and selling. I was able to coordinate with these people beforehand, give each other phone numbers, and actually got most of that done to where there were only 2 things I had to deal with at the virtual flea market. That is just insane.
Sounds like a room where blue hair would be an advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I need to bring Maggie Bot
There you go.
or Brittany for that next year. Noted. Or maybe dye my hair blue. The other thing that I wanted to mention was I got to play, I mentioned I played Churchill, which is a demo with Rusty. It's a 3-player political game, not really a war game, coming out that's currently on P500 from GMT. It's unlike anything I've ever played before because it's got this push-pull mechanic and where you're playing from your deck of cards, and depending on what topics are out there to be debated on between the 3 leaders, which are Stalin, Churchill, and
Roosevelt.
And it's just it was a mind-blowingly cool mechanic. However, we only played 3 rounds, and the game took a couple hours.
How many rounds is there?
10.
Oh, my.
And that's the interesting part of the game, but I don't know if it would be interesting after 10 rounds.
Gotcha.
It might feel a little stale. I could be completely wrong.
Sure.
The demo that we had was a lot of fun. Plus, the people, it was cool to experience it, all of us at the same time. The other half of the game, which is you're having to very abstractly fight the Germans and the Japanese on different fronts, and that was just, okay, getting your numbers up to a certain point to where the percentages are good and then roll a die. And that was it. And so that was really underwhelming. As good as imaginative as the debate side of it was, the other side felt really lackluster. It's Mark Herman, so I'm excited about it, but I just don't know. And I did P500 it, and I'm keeping that. So I'm excited to try it. I just don't know if I'm going to want to play the full game.
Okay.
But other than that, I think that pretty much hits it up. Other than, well, really, that's it.
So my final question, any tentative plans looking forward a year for Heavy Cardboard and BGG CON 2015, besides me being there too with you?
Hopefully you go, because hopefully we can do a bigger and better meetup than we had.
Yeah.
Not to say that this one was bad, just more people is always better.
Maybe we can record an episode there. Who knows?
That would be awesome.
Get some more people's voices in there.
Well, Edward, thanks so much for being our guest tonight on Gamer Gab. We appreciate all the information about BGG CON. When we come back from commercial break, we're going to have the Arkham Horror Champion out here. Won't that be fun?
All right, listeners, thanks for your indulgence on that. We hope you had some fun with it as well. I know
I did. I hope it was interesting to people.
Yeah.
I mean, for those that didn't follow Twitter while I was there, or that didn't listen to the Pod Blast, or maybe even those that did, hopefully they enjoyed that. And it helps give them a feel of what it's like.
Maybe we should actually do a public access cable TV show.
Maybe not.
Not with this face.
No.
Yeah.
Face for radio.
Face for podcasting. All right. So the next thing on our agenda tonight is we want to talk about what our favorite mechanics are. And what we're going to do is play for you the segment that recently aired on
Bags and Boards.
Here you go. Enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Tony and Edward from Heavy Cardboard. This week we wanted to kind of touch on what our favorite mechanics are. And there's a whole bunch of different mechanics out there that are really cool, really exciting, such as there's like auction and bidding, card drafting, commodity speculation, route building,
Set collection,
variable player powers,
area control.
worker placement. So there's a ton more than that, but just to give you an idea of what we're thinking of when we say
Game mechanics.
So we wanted to hit on a couple. We wanted to feature a couple. And so, Tony, start us off.
My favorite board game mechanic is auctions. And I really like auctions because it's a way for the game to introduce player-driven variability. You never know how a person's going to bid sometimes, right? And therefore, it's a lot of interaction between the players, too, as bids sometimes can get, spiral out of control or can get very tense. One thing I think is very cool about an auction is it allows the players to put a valuation on elements of the game. How much is that worth to you, Ed? Because I'm willing to bid 7. Right? Are you willing to go 10? Or
Right.
We might value things differently based on a number of conditions in the game. And I think that in well-done auctions, it's much like a business decision, right? Whether or not I'm going to bid more or less on a particular thing.
Because you're going to have X amount of dollars left as opposed to, or whatever.
Your business decision is, it's limited only by, what resources you have on hand. And, the level of the level of resources that you have available is often based on your previous decisions, so all of that put together just makes auctions, for me, my favorite game mechanic of all time.
It's not my favorite, but it's awfully high up there. It's real close. You and I both love auction games.
Want to just throw out a couple of my favorite auction games.
I imagine I know what the first one is.
The first one will be Modern Art.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's a Reiner Knizia classic. And the reason I like it is because the game has 4 different kinds of auctions in it. There's just a free, hey, yell out prices kind of an auction. There's going around the circle until people drop out and there's a winner. There's the closed hand auction where it's like secret bids, blind bidding, right? And then there's one where the person that's chairing the auction just sets a price and somebody's either going to take it or not, so it's, sort of
a buy it now, if you will.
Right. Buy it now. Another game that I really love the auction in is New Amsterdam.
Oh, good game.
And, a terrific game. And the reason I like the auction in that is because everything is money. Money is money. Furs are money. Corn is money. Every resource in the game is money. And so you just bid 6. And then, you might bid 8 and I might bid 9. It doesn't matter what I pay in as long as I pay 9 somethings.
Right. Whether it's a mix of money or furs or whatever.
Everything's currency. I like the auction mechanic in, Ed, you're going to like this one, Great Zimbabwe.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I know. Oh, the initial,
when you're bidding for the
turn order.
Right. And there's that, you're putting cows on the different cards and it's really like, it's a wealth transfer mechanism. So even when you lose, you win.
Right.
I like, Strasbourg, which is a Stefan Feld game, and not his best game, but the auction is really interesting because before each game round begins, you have to prepare how many bids you're going to make and what their values are. And you have some intelligence about what's going to happen in the turn, but you have to prepare. So if you need to make 4 bids, then you need to prepare 4 bids of different values. And by the way, everybody else is doing the same thing, so it really gets crazy. I'm gonna classify these 2 games together just because they're kind of similar, but Goa and Neue Heimat, the German real estate game.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try it.
The reason I like those 2 bidding mechanics is because it's a pay the auctioneer mechanic.
Neue Heimat, and I'm butchering the name, is definitely one of our favorite auction games, without a doubt. Yeah. It's a very simple game, but absolutely brutal. Very, very brutal game.
Last one on my list is another Stefan Feld game.
I'm noticing a trend here.
Well, he's awesome. The Speicherstadt.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yes. Really
bidding game.
Really simple, very, I'd say light to medium weight game. Yeah. And extremely affordable. It's like what, like $20 at most, I think.
Yeah, and it plays quick too.
Yeah, it does.
And you're using your meeples to bid effectively on multiple things at once. So sometimes you're placing a bid over here as a misdirection for where you want to really win here. And every meeple that's placed on an item that's up for bid is basically one coin of cost. And it's also the order of which you can purchase that for that cost or decline. It's just
the order of the auction, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
It's superb auction game. Superb auction game. So that's why I love auctions. I think there's some really great auction games. I think the mechanic just really breathes a lot of life into a game. Edward, what about you, sir? What mechanic are you here to talk about tonight?
I've given this some thought, and I thought this was going to be a lot harder than it was going to be. Because you threw this idea out at me, and I was like, man, I can't limit it to one. Because auctions would be extremely high on my list. But when I actually sat down to think about it, I was like, yeah, in the end, worker placement. That's my favorite mechanic in all of gaming. Just to make sure that the listeners understand what worker placement is. It isn't, literally taking a worker and placing it out there. There's more to it than that. Technically, it's an action drafting mechanic. In a given round, your drafting's done one at a time in turn order until all players have had a chance to draft that one thing.
And usually, when you draft something, I can't, right?
Right.
There's a blocking.
There's an action denial aspect.
Action denial, nice.
And that is key to what worker placement is.
Right.
If it doesn't have that action denial aspect, it's not worker placement.
Yeah.
So let me mention a couple games, and by a couple I mean 7, that have this mechanic as the forefront.
Now, I'm very interested in hearing your list too, because like you said, geez, auctions would be very high on my list. Well, worker placement would be very high on my list. So this is exciting. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Well, not in any particular order. All right.
Okay.
But here we go. We got Agricola, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
All right. The classic one. There's Caelus.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Your, I think, favorite game of all time, Le Havre.
Le Havre does have a worker placement element to it. It does.
One of my favorite games, Dominant Species.
Yes.
Also, our 2013 Golden Elephant Award winner, which is the Heavy Cardboard Heavy Game Award, and that's Madeira.
Wait a minute. Worker placement in Madeira.
We'll get to that.
Where's the denial?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because you definitely have workers, and they're placing them.
No, there is, but not how you're thinking of it.
Okay.
2 others I wanted to mention: Craftsman.
Yes. Dude, that one's got some really cool mechanic in that, worker placement.
And I think the one that's most unique in this respect, Keyflower.
Oh, man, I love Keyflower. This is great. This is fun.
So real quick, I mentioned Keyflower.
Yes.
Do you know the first game credited with worker placement? It's from 1998, also by Richard Breeze.
Really?
Yeah. Keydom, which is the very first in the Key series.
I've not even heard of that one.
You probably, it's about $1,000 to be able to get a copy. So yeah, you probably wouldn't have.
No.
So let me go through, I want to highlight a few of these games and explain how to get back to the Madeira. Okay. So starting out with Agricola.
Yes.
It's the most basic form of worker placement in that when you place one of your family members on an action space, say to build fences, no one else can choose that build fences action this turn.
And you do it right now.
Right. First come, first serve, textbook action denial. I went there, Tony can't go there, boom, done.
Wah, wah.
Right. So, take a game like Dominant Species now. There are 12 potential actions that you can choose, each with a number of available slots for players to choose from. Mm-hmm. Some only have 1 spot available, others have as many as 7. But even so, just like Agricola, once those spots are full, that's it. No one else can go there. But there are more than 1 available.
Right.
But even so, it's still a worker placement mechanic in the sense that it is limited.
Sure.
Okay. So that brings me to Madeira.
Okay.
The number of players is going to dictate the number of action dice that can be placed, whether it's pirate dice or whether it's player dice that can be placed in a certain building.
Right.
Therefore, the worker placement, and I know it occurred
it's clicking
to you,
to me now.
It's not just 1, but it's the number of players. So if in a 3-player game, that means only 3 actions can be taken there.
Right.
So you take it. If it goes around the table and everybody took the same action, guess what? When it comes back to you, wah, wah.
Right. How many times have we denied each other in Madeira?
And that's part of, that's a key aspect of the game.
When you said worker, I was focusing on the little worker and not thinking of the dice as the workers.
Yes. Exactly.
Like in Bora Bora, dice was workers.
There we go. Last one I wanted to highlight is Keyflower.
Which, by the way, we need to play again because, like, I'm kind of jonesing for it a bit.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's in the same family as Keydom. There's Cathedral,
Key
there's
Market, Key
there's a whole
Harvest.
bunch of these. But this one's obviously 14 years later. It came out in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
This one's unique in a sense that, unlike the other games that I've mentioned, there's a twist on the action denial. It meshes bidding, which comes back to your mechanic.
Yes, it does.
And worker placement. You can use your own tiles in your own city or tableau, if you will, or the other players, even if they've already placed workers on them, but it comes with a price.
You can even worker placement on the tiles that are up for bid.
Right. That price that I mentioned is that you have to place one more worker than the previous player placed on that tile.
Fine.
So if Tony played one with one worker and you get to take the action, it becomes my turn. Now, if I want to use that same tile, I have to not bid, but I have to use two of the same color.
Same color.
But still, it's two.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's already one there. So it comes back around and let's say Amanda wants to use that tile as well. Well, you've done it once. I've done it once. There's a total of 3 workers on that space. Well, now she has to pay 3 workers to be able to do there. So it's more expensive, but now it's capped.
Right.
That's it.
6
Once you hit
workers is the
6,
limit.
that's it. So there's that, it's kind of that really interesting mesh between bidding as well as a worker placement because it is limited to a max of those 3 actions.
That's a terrific game.
So you talked about why it is you love auctions. Let me hit a couple points specific why worker placement's so near and dear to my heart. First off, I love the freedom that it gives you. The game lays out a plethora of choices, any of which at any given time are viable. This allows you a chance to really choose your own path in how you play the game. It's wide open. It lets you cut your own throat if you consistently make poor choices.
Yeah.
Much less hand-holding than a lot of other games because it's completely wide open. Do I want to go this path, that path, the other path, or maybe a mix of all of them? Mm-hmm. The second thing is I really love the action denial aspect of it. I can choose an action that really helps me while it's still messing you over. Oh, all the better. But let's say there's 2 options out there, equally beneficial to me.
Sure.
One of which screws you. Sorry for your luck, Tony.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about worker placement that, is with that denial is when you place a worker somewhere and somebody else at the table goes,
Or let's be honest, there's lots of cussing that goes on at that point. It's the right mix that hits so many of the right spots for me. Worker placement.
Well, let us know what your favorite mechanics are out there. You can drop us an email, heavycardboard.com. Tweet us at heavycardboard.
So, looking forward to talking to y'all next week.
See y'all next week.
All right, let's cover some miscellaneous topics. I have one that I want to talk about that disturbed me, so I only want to talk about it briefly.
I'm scared. The look on your face tells me I don't know if I want to hear this.
I was surfing BGG as I am,
Want to do.
commonly doing, and I saw a geek list named My Golden Birthday, Your Golden Shower. And so I clicked on it, and in there the person is talking about their birthday, and to quote unquote to celebrate, I'll be giving you a golden shower. So I immediately closed my browser, erased my browsing history, and tried to wash that from my memory with scotch.
I hope. Well, first off, my question is: were you surfing this at work?
Luckily, no.
I was gonna say it's good that you're the boss or one of the bosses, and maybe could get away with that. For real?
Board of directors be calling me in,
dude. All of a sudden, I need to go find this. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, next,
is there any quote unquote classic or cult of the old game that you feel everybody should play at least once? And if so, what? I'll buy you some time since I spring this on you. Mine is Democker. Even if it's a terrible theme that you have no interest in playing, It's a classic for a reason. It's fun. You're playing the players as much as the game, and it's a 30-year-old game that still matters. I mean, obviously there's chess and Go that are far, far, far older. I get that.
No, we're not
but
talking
I'm saying,
that.
yeah, I'm talking classic, games. And so mine would definitely be Democker. What about you?
The one that just springs to mind is the one we both just said at the same time.
Right.
Puerto Rico. I just, maybe incorrectly, I view that as one of the gateway Euro games in terms of heavier, our brand, our style of games that we like. It's what Carcassonne is for light games, for medium and heavy games, I think.
I like that.
It came early. It had really cool, innovative mechanics.
It has staying power.
So.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. All right, rock on.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you, Game Surplus, for your support. We hope they don't mind that we moved their spot that we normally do early in the show into the middle of our show, and
I think
some
Velma,
fun with it.
I think Velma will get a kick out of it.
I'm sure they'll let us know either way. But we do want to remind people that Game Surplus is the home of great games at great prices, so check them out at GameSurplus.com. How do people reach us?
Twitter, @HeavyCardboard. Facebook, Heavy Cardboard. Email us, and please let us know what you think of the show. HeavyCardboard@gmail.com. Our website, HeavyCardboard.com. Couple other things. We're also on Stitcher, Heavy Cardboard. And also, please take a moment. If you listen to us, if you get our content from iTunes, feel free to rate us there and Stitcher. Leave a review. That'd be great. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you guys in episode 14, eh?
Yeah, look for Kanban. Woo! We'll see you then.
Bye.